go over what you remember from the last game, 4-point game, very close down the stretch, what your team learned from that, and how you've rebounded from that over the last couple months.
We thought that we played Glens Falls extremely hard last time. Played them well. I think we're only, other than Queensbury, we're the only team to hold them under 50 points. Mm-hmm. They're a high-powered offense. Obviously, Skylar does a great job scoring for them, as well as the Harvey girl and some of the other younger kids that they've got. Thought that we played them as hard as we could here. Didn't make enough shots, and that's going to be the difference tomorrow, I hope, as well. They're obviously the second place team in our league right now with 2 league losses and playing good basketball. So we've got to play nearly flawless and not turn the ball over for us to have a chance to win. You mentioned that Glens Falls is second in the Foothills Council. Does your team kind of take an upset bid approach into this game? They do. These girls, they play against each other so much. They, through youth, through travel, through modified, JV up through, they know each other so well that, it does take on a little bit different feel when we're playing Glens Falls than, say, going on the road to Johnstown, just because they know these kids so well. They absolutely would like to, upset them. Our season has been sort of what we expected. We were rebuilding. We lost 7 seniors from last year. We're classified as an A school this year, so it's a little different animal. And you mentioned some of the young players on Glens Falls' team. You've got a few young players on your roster as well. When you get this late in years, it almost seemed like sophomores are really juniors. Oh, absolutely. Coach Casey, my JV coach, keeps telling me that, have patience with them. They're young. And at this point in the year, I tell them that, no, they're through their first varsity season. They're varsity basketball players. We have a unique situation where we only had, 4 returning players from, 3 returners from the varsity, 3 seniors. We only have 1 junior on the team. So we are young, inexperienced, but with that inexperience, I've got, sophomores that have played a ton of basketball, and we rely on them to score heavily. Tanner Barton has been our leading scorer throughout the season. We're trying to, run things to get her the ball. And, knowing Mark as well as I do in Glens Falls, it makes it, a little more competitive. We enjoy that. I worked with him here for 7 years, so we kind of know what each other's going to run, and whichever team makes more baskets usually comes out. So the youth and the experience from the previous youth on your roster, and then of course Tanner Barton's ability to score 20 on any given night. Do you get the feeling we're in for another battle Tuesday night? I hope so. We've been getting off to such poor starts. It's to start games in Johnstown down 21-2 to battle all the way back and have it be a 6-point game with 5 minutes to go. It's just we dig ourselves into such holes on offense with our inability to score that our defense has to be on point. We have to play a game in the 40s to win most nights. And that's hard to do, to hold a team to 10 or 12 points a quarter without getting that one big quarter. Glens Falls had a 19-point quarter here that made it tough to get a victory. So obviously last game with Hudson Falls was a pretty close. So what did your team take away from that, and how do you think that game has affected them on this run where you're now second in the Foothills? Well, I think they took away. They didn't play very well. I mean, we missed a lot of points in that situation there, but I think they know what they're up against. So, I mean, Hudson Falls, they want to make it physical and point bang around. We're a little bit more athletic than them, so we got to finish. Is that what makes playing Hudson Falls so difficult? Yeah, I mean, obviously you know what you're up against when you go against them. As I said, I think we're more athletic. I think he knows that, so they're going to try to bang you around a little bit. So, we'll be all right. Does that make it kind of a different game for your scorers, Monica Harvey and them? Skylar, everybody looks at Skylar and they think they can bang her around, and she ends up scoring 20 on them. So she didn't shoot particularly well the first game. I don't expect that to happen again. Monica missed a bunch of layups and stuff and like that. So I think we have some advantages there. So I think we'll be okay. What's different about your team than the first time you played basketball? I think the confidence. I think that, Monica's scoring more points. To me, Vanderbiden's coming off the bench and doing a great job. She's scoring points. I just think the overall confidence is much better than that first time. And anytime you travel to Hudson Falls, the fans get after you and it gets in their head a little bit. So I think at home they'll feel a little bit more comfortable. Having the home court Tuesday night will be a big help. I think so. Yeah, you hope so. I mean, you practice here every night, so you hope that it would be that way.
Yep.
Does playing a very physical team like Hudson Falls get you ready for a grind like sectionals?
Right, and I mean that's what we're looking for. I mean, I coach with Greg, and Greg's coached with me for years and years, so we know each other pretty well. So we're probably have the same philosophies, you know. And you know, when you're not as athletic as a team, you try to bang them around a little bit. And when you get to Section 2, that's how they're going to officiate it anyway. As much as they say they're not going to, it's going to be officiated in a brawl type situation. So
the standings would say that this Glens Falls Hudson Falls game isn't going to be very close. Are you expecting something to the contrary?
Yeah. When you get the rivals in the Hudson Falls and the Glens Falls and Queensbury, it's always going to be close. I mean, I think that we hopefully will pull away at the end or something to that effect. But you know, it'll be a game. It'll be a battle.